G'day everybody. I want to talk about the similarity between ants and human beings. Now, ants have a leader, and all the ants listen to the leader. They follow instinct throughout their life and a routine to know who the leader is and why they're the leader and what the leader has to do. And they've followed their way for ages. And for the ants, it has worked for them. They breed, no worries. So whenever they're ready to upgrade themselves, they can, because what they're doing doesn't hurt the environment around them. They can do it forever until they're ready. So in a way, even though it's not a way that you want, they're not building spaceships and stuff. They're living, they function through the basics of life. And they have their leader who knows how to do that, and they follow. And they have their ranks. We're the same when it comes to all that. We have our leader, we have our sections, we have our people. The only difference is the ants do it more right than we do, and yet we call them stupid little ants. Why do we have the saying that the ants will be around longer than us if we're so smart? Are we too smart for our own good? I think we are. And it's not because we're too smart for our own good. It's because we've got toys and we're getting wisdom from other people who can handle that wisdom, but we abuse it because we shouldn't have it yet. We're not ready. And you can easily do that when we have a system that runs on money when it comes to control, because we use money, not who's in power, like ants. Ants battle and everything. They don't use money at all. It's just a way and a follow and a tradition, right? We've lost all that. Our tradition now is just money, which is sad, because if it gets like that, it actually becomes the root of all evil, because that's all you think about is money. That's how it becomes evil. It's not a way of functioning anymore. It's a way of control, which is a domination. So the domination plus a person with it all makes it easy to control, because everyone has to listen to that domination. It becomes worse than ants, because ants can't do that because they don't use money, so they don't have that domination there. And if they have a problem with their queen, they either battle it out themselves or another group comes in. You can't pay another group anything. They have to communicate, and how they're going to benefit each other or why they're doing what they're doing is because they need to live in the way they're living. But we keep looking at money, that money is the most important. We have money crisis, and we can't afford things all around the world apparently, and things aren't happening because we can't afford it to get it done, right? And yet we've got all the manpower to get it done, right? But we're saying we can't get it done because we can't afford it, because the people who's got the money just want to hold on to it and say, well, we've got it, what are you going to do about it? And they're in their right when it comes to the laws that we look at. But in the end, it's not right. And if I could, I'd change those laws. Like I said, if things aren't going right, we should make these people who are too rich not popular, like we see today in these laws, that the richer you are, the popular are. That is right, isn't it? Right? That's wrong. That should be wrong. That's causing the problem of why things are building up with money and letting these people get away with it. The governments need to stop these rich people from getting too rich. There needs to be a rich limit where you can only get so rich, and then every dollar after that, they can keep making more money. But it just goes back to the people, and they can get love back for the money that they're earning. See how you can see that system? So it keeps them, as they're still rich, they'll still have plenty of money. And if they get lower, they can work out things and make more money. That's how they got rich in the first place, wasn't it? But you don't get super rich. We need the money to keep on going, staying in the system, not built up. Because I used to play a game when I was younger, shops, right? And we used to have monopoly money to play this game. And we used to pretend we were selling our items in the corner, and you want to come and buy this, and also cook each other meals and pretend we were chefs and selling meals for monopoly money. And at the end of these games, we'd find out who got the most money, right? It's the same thing, isn't it? the money ran out in this game because people were holding it back to see how much money we had. And then I had to introduce more monopoly money to keep for the shops and banks because people kept holding it. But if you had a limit where you get to 500 or million or whatever, you have to keep putting the money out, and that'll stop us from keep on needing to make money, because that's the predicament we get into, is we keep making money to try to get out of things, which is fine. But if you're not using the money right, which is the banks lending out the money to the wrong people and things are going wrong, it just gets into a big hole. Anyway, I can go on about this all day. It amazes me why we don't do certain things. All I could say is that money is the root of all evil, and evil owns us because of money. And we think about money. Until we think about how we see people and not see people that they're great because they've made so much money, and see them for what they've done for us with the money that they've made, and we can see people like that and look up to people like that, then that might help change the world. And the people who just like to collect money will go, yeah, good for you, and just leave them alone and see how they feel by getting left alone and not looked up to so much. Because that's how humans change, is they want to connect. So when they realise that no one's looking up to their ways anymore and they just leave them alone, they'll either just stay like that. You've seen rich shows where the rich dude just dies alone. But a lot of them will change and go, yeah, he's right, I can still be like this. I want to connect and I want to feel good with the group, with the collective, with the world. And they'll start handing out their money and doing the right thing with it instead of hoarding it. What do you reckon, people? Wouldn't it be good to spread that around instead of just these little fake ads and fake stuff? How can we listen about ads like that and wisdom like I'm talking about and go, oh yeah, that's cool, that could be so easy. When we look at the government and the people we look up to do not care about following that. In fact, they rather block this information, because I'm going to have a whole story in the future about how I can send 1 million messages and get nothing. I've already explained it to some family members and to the woman I'm with at the moment. She knows all about it. She doesn't understand none of that. She doesn't understand how someone can't get no comments back over 2 years, and yet these video gamers who've got less subscribers can get seen and commented more than me. It makes no sense, does it? All what I've gone through is it's made no sense, except attack is why I'll be pulling up with what I'm doing, and all this story will make sense in the end once people want to see the whole story. But anyway, I'm not want to get controlled by a devil minion where they're going to send everything at me to try to get domination. Because when it comes to people wanting to control, what they'll do is they'll send everything at you to try to get you to change your mind or control you with their ways of control. And it's hard to get out of something that we're already stuck into. Everybody knows that, isn't it? And so if you're one of a massive group or 1% of a massive group, you will really get nowhere unless you're that top 1%, like the rich people, you see. Because money runs the world, not knowledge or love or who's the person it should be leading, like animals do. And the old ways that we used to do it. See, old leaders used to be, they'd go into the battle, not every battle, they'll not always be in the front line because it's a bit crazy. You don't want to risk yourself all the time because sooner or later you'll die. But they'll show that they can at least do what you do. And they've done it before. That helps us have a good leader. If they haven't done and can show what people are talking about, then it's hard to lead. I'm not saying they can't do it. It's a better leader having someone that's been through it who can show and talk about it. Because leaders get opinions, but you don't lead by opinions. And that's what I've seen a lot, is that you can make your job easy when you've got all these people that are smart around. You can give your opinions. You can just shut down and go the easy way and just take an opinion every time. That's a true fact once you become the leader. But that's not being a leader. That's being a lazy leader. And people will follow the same routine, which will cause a problem in the future, which we're already getting. So the best way to have a leader is a leader that works hard. A little bit like Donald Trump. Not saying Donald Trump's the best leader or anything, but he was a businessman and he was on point on a lot of facts of what is real and how things work. And that's what we need in a leader. But we don't need anyone that's going to be an asshole about everything because they're right. There's a balance there, isn't there? Anyway, I am blabbing. We've hit 10:10, and I'm going to stop it there, as I'm meant to be slowing down, as I've been saying to the people around me. There's no use blabbing hot air for nothing, and I'll save my hot air for later, and I try to just booze flubber, have me vent moments, and move on. Have a good one, people. Hope you can have a think about the thoughts that I just chucked out, and you probably all agree to it and know about it. But nothing will happen, eh? What can we do, people, to make people see collectively or want to join collectively? What could we say or show or do to make that happen for real? Or are we all just lost and all just fighting for the money because we know that's what works for us? And if that's true, the outcome in the end is the inevitable that we're going to fail, because money is the way the systems to make it work, not to control it. It's there to make it work. And the government is meant to be the top control. To help keep control, the government needs to control the necessary things. Back in the old days, one thing they got right is the government controlled the water and all the necessary things, the food, how it got produced and where it's coming from, so they can keep their people fed. They need to control that, make sure it's online. You don't want any of them to be controlled by single people, because then you don't have the control. You've lost control. So if you ever give people rights to come in and help, you never give them full control. No one should ever own water unless they've made the water themselves and they don't siphon it from a river. That can be owned. So they dug a hole and it filled up by natural rain and water. That can be owned. But if they're just buying land because it had a dam on it, a lake on it, or a river running through it, and they think they can siphon as much water they want because it's running through it, is the wrong way of doing things and an evil way of thinking. They don't own that. That's for everybody. Water is for everybody. The river flows for everybody. And if they're still in it, then everybody can do it, and then it wouldn't work, would it? So what gives them the right? Because they've got a piece of paper or they got in first. Because that's, in the end, the truth of why they're doing what they're doing. Anyway, one day the human species will wake up to all this. And when we've got all the basic things right, so there's no one starving and no one can't go build a home or go to a place where they need to with any freedom, right? We should just have a spot of land. If people just want to go out there and they stick to these rules that we have at this spot of land, means you can only chop down 10 trees per person per every few years, and you have to plant some when you chop down. We can make these rules up. It's a little bit to talk about. We're a place where people can go live free and go at least back to the old days and can still be free when we still have technology. And if you want technology, then you go into that area where the technology is, and you go with their rules and how the technology works over there. You know what I mean? If you think about things, everything can be balanced out and worked out. But as long as you're willing to be fair and to do that. And in a lot of cases, that's why we have these problems. Our leaders are not willing to do that. So are they really leaders? Or are they all just power trippers? Have a good one. Bye-bye.